Hello, welcome back to the workshop. Today we're going to be stripping down what I believe to be a 1930s wrought iron gate. We're going to be stripping down and taking out all the bits that we don't need anymore. We're going to be trying to work out its age, and we're also going to try and assess the kind of damage and what we're going to do to try and fix it in this episode. This is part one. I'm not sure how many parts there's going to be, but I'm going to cover as much detail as possible. There's a few things that overlap a little bit, or they are the same process but they're done on a slightly different object. So bear with me. I hope this is going to work. Hopefully, if this is any good, there should be some more stuff like this in the future. I would like to spend a bit of time documenting the process of going through and modifying and repairing the work and going over some of the interesting quirks of this gate, from the really shoddy repairs to the nature of its construction and its age. I'm going to do that as part of a series that will be available for patrons, but I'm also going to be doing it as a one-off episode on the channel. I'll talk more about that at the end of the video, but let's first of all get into the repairs that are required on this gate. This is a pair of gates, and of the two gates, this one is the most damaged. The biggest repair on here that isn't a repair based on the fact that someone had bodged it very horribly is repairing this heel. Now, what I believe has happened is this heel has rotted out, and then after rotting out, the gate's fallen over, and as a consequence we've had some modifications done to the other end of the bottom horizontal. So what we need to do here is cut this out and completely repair this heel, and to do that we're going to have to remake the heel, but we're going to make it out of mild steel. The budget isn't going to let me buy wrought iron, sadly, and then we're going to put it all back together. So the second repair is this style here, and it has been cut off and re-welded on. I'll show you some close-ups of that. So basically the guy cut it off here and here, or woman, or whoever's done it, here, and very badly butchered it here, and then re-welded it on. But I'm not sure if you can tell from this image, the gap between here and here, the gap between here and here, and at the bottom is completely different. So this end of the gate is longer than this end. Top rail here that holds the scrolls on is also really badly worn away. It's completely rotted out. The rust in there is it's just terrible. But these scrolls here are still really good. So this is coming off as well. We're going to cut that out. We're going to re-put that in and get that all looking nice and tidy as well. But let's just talk quickly about the quirks of this gate, and then what we'll try and do is ascertain if these bars here, this one and this one, are wrought iron. Okay, I can't show you the heels on this gate because it's rotten out, but I will show you on the other gate when it comes into the workshop. It's miserable outside. But someone has made a heel, then blind riveted it in top and bottom on this channel, and then also made a mortise and tenon, and then riveted that over to create a very, you can see the captive rivets there, or screws, maybe they're screws, but they are beautiful. They're really well made. We've also got these incredibly well made hinges that go for the straps. The material for the starting stock is about 55mm, just about over 2 inches, and then it's been forged down into these sections and then had the heel forged on. I'm not saying there's not a fire weld in this rail somewhere down here. I can't see it if there is one, but there is paint on here and stuff. But it's been extremely well made, and it's been made with a reasonably big kit. Maybe not as big as a Massey, but something bigger than your average Anyang 16 kilo power hammer. Just hasn't got the grunt to kind of do this work and do it as well as this has been done. So whomever made this had access to some serious equipment. That also comes down to these rails here. The holes that are here for this rails are not hot punched. They're either drilled and cut square, or they've been punched mechanically or hydraulically, that could also be possible, in these rails to give really nice square rails. So whoever made this had a lot of access to a lot of kit. Extremely fine scroll work and very well made components that fit perfectly. They don't look like they're joined at all. That's the paint partly, but they don't look like they're in there and joined at all. Means that the people that were making this knew exactly what they were doing. They had the money, they had the abilities, they had the tools, but they didn't have a welder. Why not just weld this together? So that's the thing. That's the thing that's weird. So that's one way that I'm going to give an estimate of its age. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I tested to see if the gate was wrought iron, and you will see that my suspicions were correct. It's not a very high grade of wrought. It's good, but it's not great. So we know that the heavy forged components in this gate are made of wrought iron. What I don't know is if these rails here, these top rails, are made of wrought iron as well. Because a couple of people have suggested that this might have been an after fix already. It's very accurate, it's very tidy, and it's a very complicated way of doing it. So I don't think it's a fix. I think it is original, but we will investigate that somewhat. We will find out if that's wrought iron as well. Now there's a possibility that some of the components are wrought and some of the components are steel, depends on its age. But we will find that out, I hope. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to start cutting part of the gate apart and having an investigation to find out if some of the other components in this build are wrought iron. And then, yeah, that's basically where we're at. So I'm going to stop talking, I'm going to start cutting, and we can get on to talk about how we're going to go about the repair. I want this scroll off of here because I want to replace this with some 40 by 10, which is quite close to this. We might have to forge it down a little bit, but it's quite close. But there's like a bolt in here, like a round-headed bolt that goes through and screws into the other side. Now, I'm going to try and get that out. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bit of warm on here. I'm going to get this hot WD-40 and let that shrink. I'm also going to try and do exactly the same on the other side. We'll see how we get on, but I don't know how well it's going to go. These are probably going to snap. I'm going to have to drill it out and remake them, but that's not a problem. Got this penetrating oil. Get some of that on there as well. Woo! Trying to breathe that in, for God's sake. Fair estimation, I'm not going to get a single one of these out without breaking them. Now I've turned it around, you can see how much of an angle this side's at. So, yeah, great help. Super sorry, camera died and I didn't video me cutting the rail off, which is a little bit irritating, but some good news. I managed to get the heel out from the bottom. We'll go over this process in a minute. We're going to take another heel out in a second, but that's good. So that means I can forge a piece of material this size and then forge the tenon on the end and then pop that in. So that will look almost seamless then, because we'll weld that in and grind that flush, and then that'll look pretty much seamless. I got the scroll off as well. I ended up breaking both of the little bolt things, which is super irritating because one of them started to come loose. Sorry about like travel sickness stuff with the camera and all that. This one here came out quite easily. This is the heel here, and it's quite nice. And this is wrought iron, and these are wrought iron. Which also, I thought that these were hole punched with like a steel worker or something, and I also believe that these have been punched with a steel worker of some description as well. So it leads me to believe these rails and these rails were made at the same time along with these. So yeah, I'm going to remake 2 of these because I've also worked out that an off-the-shelf channel, it doesn't quite fit, it's too long, but an off-the-shelf channel will go in here quite nicely. So we'll be able to put a bit of channel in here, fill up this gap here with a bit of channel in there. We'll take that one out in a minute, and then we can remake that one down at the end. Thank you for your support as a Patreon and through the journey that the channel and myself are going through with the YouTube and the other sort of online content that I'm producing. I know I've been a bit neglectful of the Patreon for a long time. That's about to change. There's going to be loads more content. Some of the things I'm planning to do is move the rough and readies over here. There'll be some behind the scenes stuff, and there will also be classes available as well. So we'll work on that and how that's all going to grow and turn into things depending on tier levels. I think I bit off more than I could chew when I started it up before, so an apology to people that feel a bit neglected if you are still here and still happily plugging away with your pledges. But yes, more to come. Thank you very much for your support. I'm going to leave the video there. Hopefully you did enjoy it. The next episode will be us working through some of the tenons. There will be a tenon making video on the main channel, but that here we'll be talking a lot about the tenons for the gate, how we assembled them, why I've done them in certain ways, and then a lot of detail into that big heel tenon. I'm not going to share very much of that. There'll be odd bits and bobs, but the tenon video will be there, which will complement that one really nicely. So, see you later. Bye-bye.